Nation. It is your boy Jerome. I'm here with a special edition of Ranger Talk. This is the 20th anniversary celebration of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Power Rangers Lost Galaxy premiered 20 years ago today on Saturday, February the 6th of 1999. I think it came on at 7 o'clock in Texas, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. I can't remember exactly what time it was. So Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, this was the first season that did not have Zordon in there as the Rangers, mentor, but they did have someone from the Zordon era in the mentorship role. They had Deca and they had Alpha, who were part of the Astra Mega ship, and the Astra Mega ship was there. The difference with this was with the Astra Mega ship, it did not transform into the Astra Megazord until we got the team up between the Lost Galaxy Rangers and the Space Rangers. And the season, it had 45 episodes in it, and the main Rangers of the season were Leo Corbett, Kai Chen, Damon Henderson, Maya, and Kendrick Morgan, who each one, I'll tell you who they were portrayed by. Leo Corbett was portrayed by Danny Salvin. Archie Cal, Kaio, can't pronounce his last name. He played Kai. Reggie Rowe was Damon Henderson. Maya was played by Serena Vincent. And Kendrick Morgan was played by Valerie Vernon. And we also had Mike, and we had Trakina. And Trakina was played by then Amy Miller, and then she later became Amy Roll after the season had wrapped. So, now I'm going to go into, the story of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, and I'm going to take it by season 1 to season 2. Like, I have the box set of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I don't know if you guys can see it. This is a DVD that came with Shout Factory. There are the episodes right there. Can't probably see it. DVDs, my favorite season of all time. It's actually broke. Like, one of these things will fall out. I don't know which one it is. Oh, you know what? It might have fixed itself. Interesting. But yeah, this is my favorite season. Oh no, it's this. This is broke. Yeah, this is my favorite season of all time. Like, God, it was a really good season. It was kind of dark, but it was also like really, really, really good. So Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, the premise of it was a space colony by the name of Terra Venture. Terra Venture left Earth in search of a new world. So the first episode, we are starting to meet our new team of heroes. So it started out on Earth with Leo. Leo didn't get chosen to go on the space colony Terra Venture. And, there was an older lady that was walking down the alley, and there were some thugs that, were trying to attack her and take her I don't know what they call those, her passport to get on Terra Venture. So Leo intercepted, saved the woman, kept her passport and handed her passport, and she told him the new world needs young men like him. And he thought, he thought, hey, maybe the new world does need young men like me. And Leo stowed away on Terra Venture. So, once he got on Terra Venture, the security was trying to find Leo. He was a Caucasian teenager with a red shirt on. And, they saw him. Then, he had to blend in. And when he blended in with the soldiers that was on Terra Venture. And, they were getting ready to go into a final combat battle, a practice run before they actually left out of Earth's orbit to go in search of a new world. And then on a distant planet in another galaxy, we had Maya on the planet of Miranoi. And there was this stone that housed the Quasar Sabers. And, for 3,000 years, no one had ever been able to take the Quasar Sabers out of the stone. So there was a monster that was on Miranoi by the name of Furio, who was trying to get the Quasar Sabers out of the stone, but he couldn't get the Quasar Sabers out of the stone. So he started attacking the planet of Miranoi. And Maya, she fled. And then when she was running, she fell through a portal. Now, with the team that was doing the practice run, they went to the moon and they did their final practice run. So while they're doing their practice run, the portal opens in front of them, in front of them, and Maya falls through the portal, and she falls in front of Leo and Mike. And then, the Stingwingers are following in behind of her. So they battle the Stingwingers, and then Maya has to go back to save her world. And then they were like, how do we know, what you're saying is the truth? And, like I said, Maya went back to her world. Kendricks and Mike following behind her. And Leo and Kai, they were going to go back to Terra Venture. But, Leo, he fooled Kai and he turned around and he ran through the portal. When Leo ran through the portal closed. So now Kai had to find another way to get to, where his friends were. So Kai goes to Earth. He boards the Astro Omega ship. And at this point, the Astro Omega ship had been turned into a museum, which was interesting to me that it was a museum. So, Kai was like, he's commissioning it to go back up into space. That's where we meet Damon. And Damon like, this must be some kind of a joke. GSA mission, show me your mission. And Kai didn't have a mission. And he said, this is not a spaceship, it's a museum. So, then they got the mega ship up into the air and, into space they went. So they finally get to the portal, and the portal was starting to, they got to the portal. And as they got to the portal, that's when Kai was like, do they think that the ship would survive? And Damon was like, you wait till we get this far to ask if we're going to survive. So they go through the portal, and they get to Miranoi. So, we had Leo. He spotted some Stingwingers, and the Stingwingers attacked him. So then, the group all convened together. It was, when Leo got kicked by the Stingwingers, he fell right there with Mike, Maya, and Kendricks. So those four were together. Damon and Kai hadn't showed up. But when they tried to stop Furio, that's when all of them got together. And, they started fighting the Stingwingers. So then, they run up by the Quasar Sabers. And it was Mike, Kendricks, Maya, Damon, and Kai. They pulled the Quasar Sabers from the stone. So when they pulled the Quasar Sabers from the stone, that is when Furio decided that he wanted to turn the people of Miranoi into stone. So he starts, like I said, he starts turning everybody to stone. And then they flee. And then, they start to run. And then they run into Furio once again. And then when they run into Furio, Furio has his sword. And he hits the ground. And he splits the ground open. And then Mike falls into the crevice. When Mike fell into the crevice, Mike handed Leo the Quasar Saber. He told him to take the saber. And when Leo took the saber, he told Mike to hand him his hand. But Mike didn't hand him his hand. Mike jumped and fell into the crevice. And then the crevice closed. And then we got the very first morph of the Galaxy Rangers. And they battled Furio. And, Furio went back to his leader, who was known as Scorpius. And Scorpius told him his mission was to get the Quasar Sabers back from him. So episodes 3 through 5, that was just Furio trying to get the Quasar Sabers back from the Rangers. And then that's when we added to the Rangers' arsenal. So in episode 3, which was titled Race to Rescue, this is the episode where the Rangers got the Galactabees. Maya, on Terra Venture, she could hear, animals. They were in trouble. And, Leo and Damon were like, how does she know that? Well, Maya can speak to animals. So, they go to the planet, and it was Maya, Damon, and Leo. So, the Galactabees are being held by the Stingwingers and being, tortured by them. So they go in with the help of Kendricks and Kai, and they break the trains and they free the Galactabees. Once they freed the Galactabees told Maya that they owed them a favor. So then, they go back to Terra Venture. There's a monster there attacking Terra Venture. Then the monster, he makes himself grow. And then when he grew, the Galactabees show back up to help the Rangers. So then in episode 4, we also added to the Rangers' arsenal. This episode, Furio was trying to still, once again, take the Quasar Sabers back from the Rangers. So he had this monster, steal 4 of the 5 Quasar Sabers. Leo held onto his Quasar Saber, and the monster sucked him in. So the monster also had some other weapons that the Rangers wanted, which were the trans daggers. So, the Rangers devised a plan to trick the monster so that they can get the Quasar Sabers and the trans daggers. And the trans daggers, they transformed into 5 different weapons. You had the Cosmic Claw, the Beta Bow, the Delta Daggers, the Trans Blaster, and the Mega Talon. And then we had episode number 5. That episode was titled Homesick. So this episode, there was a kid who stowed away on a terror adventure. What else? Yeah, he stowed away the terror adventure. And again, Furio was trying to steal the Quasar Sabers. In this episode, he put the whole colony to sleep. And in this episode, we got another addition to the arsenal. We got the jet jammers that Alpha and Deca made because Furio tried to get up to Command Tower. Now, the kid that stowed away onto Terra Venture, he was a computer hacker, so he hacked into the elevator and he trapped Furio on the elevator. Which to this day, they never said how Furio got out of the elevator. So I'm guessing Furio must have teleported out of the elevator. I'm assuming that's how he got out the elevator. So the monster that was on this episode, his name was Gasser. So Gasser was gassing up the colony, and then the Galactabees came, and the Galactabees sucked up the gas, but it turned them into stone. And then Gasser was trying to destroy the Galactabees, but then Leo said he's not going to let him destroy them. So he jumps onto the Galactabees, and he has his trans dagger, and he holds his trans dagger up to the air, and a gush of lightning, I guess that was, comes down, and he puts his trans dagger up toward the light, and it turned transformed the Galactabees, which formed the Galaxy Megazord, which I still have my Galaxy Megazord, and I have my trans dagger. They're in my closet. I was gonna pull them out, but I don't feel like doing that because I'd have to put this shit back. I had to put the stuff back in my closet. So then we move into the Lights of Orion saga. And in episode number 6, we did, so the Lights of Orion saga, that went on from episode 6 to episode 13. So in the first episode of the Lights of Orion, we got another addition to the Rangers arsenal. The guys had the astrocycles. It was Kai, Damon, and Leo. They all had the astrocycles. The girls did not have any kind of motorcycle. So in this episode, Furio and we were completely introduced in this episode to Princess Trakina, who was meddling, and she and Furio, they had devised a plan to trick Leo with this monster by the name of Mutantrum. So Mutantrum turned himself into Mike to trick Leo to go to a cave where they thought that the lights had been shut inside for eons. So Leo gets into the cave. He opens up the where they think the Lights of Orion are held. He gets the box, and Mutantrum, blasts him. So then we see Mutantrum. He goes to Furio, and he tells him that he has the Lights of Orion. And the Rangers are like, Mike, no. Mike wouldn't betray us. And he's like, you're right. Mike wouldn't betray you, but I would. And I'm actually reciting that episode, and he kicked Kendricks. I'm reciting this whole episode. Needless to say, the Lights of Orion were not in that box. So then, in episode 7, Double Duty, I think that's the name of the episode. This is where Kendricks had a double, an actress who looked just like her. And, Kendricks took her place because she was a selfish, self-absorbed person. And this is where we saw how truly phenomenal Kendricks was. And also in this episode, we got introduced to the Quasar launchers. And the monster thought that Wise Wizard, that was his name, Wise Wizard thought that the Lights of Orion were hidden inside of an ordinary camera. So Wise Wizard went on Terra Venture and he destroyed every camera, but the Lights of Orion were not in any of the cameras. Then we had episode 8, which was titled, I have to look at it, I forget what, Blue Crush, I believe, right? The Blue Crush. Episode, is that 8? Yep, episode 8 was the Blue Crush. This was the episode where Kai was supposed to be watching Commander Stanton's daughter. Kai had a crush on one of the girls that, Jody knew. So this episode, it was Quakemaker, and Quakemaker thought that the Lights of Orion were in the ground on Terra Venture. So Quakemakers put his quake stakes into the ground, and he had his quake stakes come up, but the Lights of Orion did not show up. And this was going into the last episode where we would see Furio, because at this point, Scorpius was fed up with Furio could not bring him the Lights of Orion. So then we go into episode number, is this 9? Yep, episode number 9, the Magna Defender. Oh my God. So this was the episode where Furio, he told Leo that this was their final battle, and, Furio self-destructed himself, and, the clave exploded, and this is where doom, 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 doom. Dun, 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 dun. The Magna Defender. Oh my God, I loved Magna Defender. He was epic. Like, I love the Magna Defender. He was my favorite part of that whole Lights of Orion saga. So, with Furio destroyed, there was no general. Which, where did Trecheron come from? Because we were introduced to Trecheron, and we find out that Trecheron and Magna Defender had a long history with one another. Trecheron blasted Magna Defender into a crevice 3,000 years ago. He laid at the bottom of the crevice, and then he finally came up to exact his revenge on Trecheron. What else? So, this episode, they thought that the Lights of Orion were inside of a rock. So, there was one monster. He had a hammer. He was hammering the rock, and he said it's impossible. For thousands of years, nothing had penetrated his hammer. Nothing had destroyed his hammer. This rock was completely impenetrable. So, then the Rangers come. They trick the Rangers to use the Quasar launchers to hit the rock. The Quasar launchers didn't do it. So then Magna Defender shows up, and he fights with the monster. And Magna Defender, he manages to split the rock with his sword. And when he split the rock, no Lights of Orion in sight. So the next episode, I can't remember the name of the episode. The Sunflower Search. Why didn't I think about that? So the Sunflower Search, we have a monster. I can't remember what his name was. We had the monster there. So what it was, so on the Scorpion Stinger, they were eavesdropping on a conversation that Kendricks and Maya were having with one another. And, Maya's like sunflowers. They're light of the world. And on her world, they have a sunflower statue on their gates. So they figured, hey, lights of the world, lights of the universe, maybe it's a clue for the Lights of Orion. So Trakina was like, Fishface, that was his name. So Trakina was like, and Fishface was like, what about all the sunflower statues on Terra Venture? So Trakina said, that's what Trakina said. What about all the sunflower statues on Terra Venture? So then Fishface, he goes to Terra Venture. He starts to destroy all of the sunflower statues, but no Lights of Orion. In this episode, we also got a little bit of a backstory on the Magna Defender. So we find out that the Magna Defender had a son by the name of Zika, and Zika was destroyed by Scorpius because of Fishface. Because Fishface had Zika, was holding Zika, and Fishface told Magna Defender to drop his weapon and to call off his Zord, Toro Zord, which we also saw in this episode, which combined to be the Toro Zord. So he so like I said, Fishface tricked him. He let his son go, but what happened was Zika took out his little dagger, and he said, "I'll save you, Dad." And he was going to attack Scorpius, but Scorpius blasted Zika and killed Zika, which was actually kind of sad, really sad. So that is the story. That's why. So we found out that Magna Defender had a vengeance against Scorpius for killing his son, which is all, there's nothing wrong with that. So then in the next episode, which was titled The Silent Sleep, I think it was titled The Silent Sleep, or it could have been just Silent Sleep, This was kind of like a filler episode. It really didn't have much to do with the Lights of Orion, but it had a little bit to do with the Lights of Orion. In this episode, it was a monster by the name of Chilifish. So Chilifish, he took his hat off, he threw it across the colony, and he froze the colony and put the colony to sleep, so that way he could find the Lights of Orion. Well, everyone was awake on the colony. Everyone was asleep, with the exception of the animals, Leo, and Magna Defender. Because Leo got hit, and it hit Mike's dog tags, so that's what saved Leo from the spell. And the animals, I guess their fur kept them awake. I'm thinking that's what it was, their fur. And Magna Defender just didn't go to sleep, period. So, Magna Defender, he set out a plan to trick Chilifish. What he did was he created a decoy of the Lights of Orion, and Chilifish thought he had it, but Leo thwarted his plans. So, that was pretty much it for that episode, because like I said, it was just pretty much a filler episode. So then the next episode, which was titled Orion Rising, we met Destruxo. So Destruxo put a force field around Terra Venture, and somehow Kendricks and Maya managed to penetrate the force field, but the force field ran out of air. So what Destruxo did was he put his staff in the ground, and it was searching for the Lights of Orion. So it eventually did find the Lights of Orion, but when it found the Lights of Orion, also Kendricks and Maya did destroy the force field. So once the force field was destroyed, the Lights of Orion left Terra Venture. And then in the next episode, Orion's Return, the Lights of Orion did return. So this episode, Destruxo captured the lights. Trakina, she was not happy with that, because she knew that if Trecheron took Scorpius, the Lights of Orion, that Scorpius would award him with more, reward him. So Trakina used a monster by the name of Impostra to turn herself into Trecheron and trick Destruxo into using the Lights of Orion. So Destruxo does use the Lights of Orion, and at first he got the best of the Rangers. So then the Rangers, they put themselves back together and they go back to battle Destruxo. And, Magna Defender was there as well. Magna Defender was the one that, eventually got the Lights of Orion free from Destruxo, because he hit whatever it was on his right here, and they freed him. So then the Lights of Orion, once they were free, Magna Defender was pleading with the Lights of Orion to give them his power, their power, so that he could exact his revenge on Scorpius. But the Lights of Orion could only be used for good and not for vengeance. So the Lights of Orion chose the Rangers, because the Rangers were willing to sacrifice the Lights of Orion. They wanted to destroy the Lights of Orion so that Magna Defender couldn't get the power to exact his revenge on Scorpius. So, like I said, the Lights chose the Rangers. And that was the end of the Lights of Orion saga. So the next two episodes were the next episode was the episode before the season finale. So that was the Sharks attack. This episode, we learned that the Rangers had to call on the Lights of Orion together. They all had to be together to activate the Lights' full power. Because in this episode, the Shark brothers let Trecheron know that Trakina was the one that set him up. So he was seeking out Trakina to exact his revenge, and also Magna Defender was as well. But Magna Defender could not exact his revenge because he was being inside of him. There was a battle going on. It was a good force inside of him that was telling him not to harm Trakina. So in this episode, this was the destruction of Trecheron. When Trecheron was destroyed, I actually kind of felt bad for Trecheron. That was actually kind of sad for me when Trecheron was destroyed, because I actually really liked Trecheron. Although he was evil, Trecheron had honor and dignity. He believed in what he believed in, and Leo ended up destroying him. So, I did not type this up on my notes. So, the Shark brothers, they grew. The Rangers called on the Galaxy Megazord. So when they got in the Galaxy Megazord, they still had the Lights of Orion on, and then the Light's power acceded to the Galaxy Megazord. So the Galaxy Megazord powered up mode, and they destroyed the Shark Brothers. So then we move over to the season finale of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, and also that Saturday they showed the unaired episode of the pilot. They showed the pilot episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, when I tell you guys, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy is my favorite season in the world. Like, I live for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. It is #1 in my book. I go up for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Like, can't nobody tell me anything differently about Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Like, I have every episode. Power Rangers Lost Galaxy for me was the very first season that I ever recorded on for television. Like, oh my God, love, love, love Lost Galaxy. But the season finale, what happened in the season finale was the Magna Defender told Leo that the presence that was inside of him is Mike. And, Magna Defender wanted Leo to destroy him to free Mike. And Scorpius, there was something going on with the Scorpion Stinger. It was losing power. And they were going to drift off into space. And Shakina, her vainness, she didn't want to drift off into space and freeze to death. So Scorpius tapped into the Terra Adventures power supply. He was draining their energy. And when Scorpius was doing that, that's when the Magna Defender wanted to exact his revenge and destroy Scorpius. But in the process, he was hurting Terra Adventure. So, he ended up, in the end of it, Magna Defender sacrificed himself for the colony. And we got the return of Mike. Now, here was the weird thing for me was when Mike returned, I know Kendricks and Kai knew who Mike was, but everybody else just ran up to him like, Mike. And I'm like, you guys knew Mike for like a millisecond, but it's a TV show, it's a kid's show, so I had to roll with the punches. But I was 10 years old at that time, or turning 10. Because I'm like, they didn't even know Mike that long. So why are they screaming Mike? But, that was the end of season 1, and now we're going to move into season 2. All right, so season 2. Season 2, it opened up with, all the Rangers having a good time with one another. They're celebrating Mike being back. I don't even know if they ever explained I don't even know if Mike ever explained to Commander Stanton where he had been after that practice run. But, Leo was battling with himself because Mike was the one who pulled the Quasar Saber from the stone. So Leo was like, should he give, Mike the Quasar Saber back since he was the one who pulled it from the stone? But Mike told him, no, I think I was meant to pull the Quasar Saber for you. And, so Leo kept his Quasar Saber. And, then we saw the Magna Defender and Zika return. And they presented Mike with Magna Defender's power. So Mike, he became the Magna Defender. So then the next 2 episodes, it wasn't like a story, it wasn't part of a story arc. It was kind of like filler episodes because it was Stolen Beauty when Shakina was going around stealing the beauty of beautiful girls on Terra Adventure because she's vain and jealous of other beautiful women. And we had the one where they went on that mission and retrieved the Galaxy book. So after they retrieved the Galaxy book, we got introduced to a new villain by the name of Jbsayzwhat, who was only out for his own self. So Jbsayzwhat came onto Terra Adventure. Not Terra Adventure, he came onto the Scorpion Stinger because Shakina left the Scorpion Stinger because Scorpius had created a cocoon. And he wanted Shakina to go into the cocoon to shed her mortal beauty and become an insect with magnificent powers. Exactly what Scorpius said. And, Shakina did not want to do that because she did not want to shed her beauty. Again, Shakina was vain. But Jbsayzwhat wanted to enter the cocoon and, transform into whatever he was going to transform into, which I'm like, is made for Shakina, who was going to turn into an insect. So, and Jbsayzwhat was he a robot? Whatever he was. So, Scorpius wanted Jbsayzwhat to destroy the Rangers. If he could destroy the Rangers, then Jbsayzwhat, he would grant Jbsayzwhat his wish to enter the cocoon. In this episode, it was the Lost Galactic Beast Part 1 and the Lost Galactic Beast Part 2. So, in the Galaxy book, Kendricks found their 5 Galactic Beasts, and then there were 3 more. But they didn't know what happened with those 3 Lost Galactic Beasts that they didn't know what happened to them. But we ended up finding out what happened to those Lost Galactic Beasts. So there was a battle years ago, and those Galactic Beasts were destroyed in battle. and Deviant found them floating in space, and he turned them into his own Zords, which were the Centaurus Megazord and the Stratoforce Megazord, and he had the Zenith Carrier Zord. So before they were the Zenith Carrier Zord, the Centaurus Megazord, and the Stratoforce Megazord, they were the Shark, Hammerhead, and Rhino Galactic Beast. So what happened in these two episodes, the other five Galactic Beasts, the Wildcat, the Wolf, the Gorilla, the Condor, and the Lion Galactic Beast, they would not fight their friends. And they finally figured it out in episode 2 that the reason why their Galactic Beasts were not fighting is because they were friends. So, so DVI had a remote control. He actually kidnapped Kai and Damon in the first part of it, and Damon and Kai had to fight with one another to power up so he could power up his Zords. So the remote control, DVI gave it to the monster, and the Rangers managed to get it from the monster, but I don't know if it was the monster destroyed the remote control. So the Galactic Beast had to talk, they had to reason with the Lost Galactic Beast, and they eventually turned themselves good to join the Rangers side. So after that, this is where we met the other two villains that joined Trakina, which is Villamax and Kegler. So Trakina was on the planet Onyx, and she got into a bar fight, and she couldn't fight. The monsters beat her up. So that's where Villamax taught Trakina how to fight, and then Trakina went back to the bar, and she, proved that she could fight, and she took out the people that beat her up before. Now, on Terra Venture, Deviant set up Scorpius because Scorpius wanted to find out where Trakina was. So Deviant lied to Scorpius and told him that the Rangers were holding Trakina hostage on Terra Venture. So Scorpius goes to Terra Venture. He fights with the Rangers, and the Rangers ended up defeating Scorpius. So back on the Scorpion Stinger, back on the Scorpion Stinger and on Onyx, somebody came to Trakina and told her that her father was injured. It was Kegler who told her father was injured in battle. So she went back to the Scorpion Stinger, and that's when Scorpius died. And that's when a new villain arose, which was Trakina. So now Trakina's mission is to make the Rangers pay for destroying her father, and she started by trying to take out Leo. That fight with her and Leo, she was ruthless when she came to Leo, but Leo did escape her though. So then after that, it was more of some filler episodes. We got that episode where High Councilor Rainier was kidnapped by Trakina because Trakina's ship had got hit by some meteors, and they wanted the best mechanic to come on the ship to fix the ship, which was Damon. Then you had the episode where Commander Stanton was possessed, and the monster shot him with the arrow, and she wanted him to take the Terra Venture into the that big star. You had the episode where Loyax's last battle. You had the episode with Motor Mantis. What is the name of the episode with Motor Mantis? I have to look that up. Motor Mantis. No. Oh, Mean was Mantis. Oh, you also had Memories of Marinoid, where Maya thought that one of her friends from Marinoid was there, but Trakina tricked her with that. You had a Red Romance, and then you had the Chameleac Warrior. The Red Romance was when Leo, fell for the girl Ginger, and Miranda kidnapped Ginger. Now, let me go back to Mean Will's Mantis. We got another addition to the arsenal. Leo, he turned his astral cycle into the red capsular cycle. So now we are going towards the end of the series and the season. So after the Chameleac Warrior, we got the resurgence of the Power Rangers in space. So the reason why the Space Rangers showed up was because Deviant got the data cards of when he had those 5 data cards. I'm like, what is that? Who is that? But we found out that those were the data cards of the Psycho Rangers. The Psycho Rangers were the worst. Like, they are the top 10 most evil villains out there besides Trakina. Trakina to me is number 1. Trakina, then the Psycho Rangers, then Tanaya 7 from RPM. Lord Zed from season 2 was up there as well. Who else? Rancic. Oh my God, Rancic. I'm getting off topic. So yeah, to the 10th power, we got the Space Rangers teaming up with the Galaxy Rangers. They ended up defeating the Psycho Rangers, all the Psycho Rangers with the exception of Psycho Pink. So DVI, takes Psycho Pink back to the Scorpion Stinger, and on the power of Pink, they Shakina wants Psycho Pink to destroy all the Rangers. Psycho Pink like, I don't want to destroy them. I don't care about all the Rangers. I only want the Pink Rangers. So, they told her, you do as I say. And she was like, you do as I say. Listen to me. I'm a Psycho Ranger. And she, tore up her thing and threw her on the ground. And she said, no, you listen to me. No one tells me what to do. No one. And she took her arrow and shot at Trakina. Velamax put his sword out. And, they told her she'll regret this. And she said, not as much as you. And they said, after her. I'm repeating this whole scene. And Trakina's like, no. She'll take care of the Pink Rangers, and we'll take care of the rest. So then on Terra Venture, Kendrick is in the science department. She's going through the Galaxy book, and she's flipping through the Galaxy book, and she finds this page where there's a sword called the Savage Sword, and it's on the planet Rashon, which is practically next door to them. So there's a guy, he was using one of the intercoms on Terra Venture. And, Psycho Pink, she put herself in there and she zapped herself to Kendrick's computer miraculously. And, she said, I found her. So then Psycho Pink comes out of Kendrick's computer and she reads Kendrick's mind. And then, she figures out that Kendrick found the Savage Sword. So then, Cassie and Kendrick's, they morph and they follow Psycho Pink to the planet Rashon. And they call the Rangers, tell them Psycho Pink is still alive. So then the other Rangers were going to try to go in pursuit of Psycho Pink with the Rangers, but they were intercepted by the Stingwingers and, DVI and Velamax. So then on planet Rashon, Psycho Pink does get the Savage Sword, and she's fighting with Kendrick and Cassie. More so Cassie, because Cassie was her arch nemesis. So, she hits Cassie so hard that Cassie demorphs and her astromorph falls off. And she said, that's it for you, Pink Ranger. Your morpher holds much power. Don't do it, and that power will be mine. Yes, do da. If you cannot tell, like I said, if you cannot tell that Lost Galaxy is my favorite season, you should by now, because I know every scene of every episode of Lost Galaxy. I actually know every scene of every Power Rangers season with the hell, I even know every episode of Operation Overdrive, and I cannot stand Operation Overdrive. So yeah, when Psycho Pink hit the Astromorpher, a pink cloud just, erupted into the air, and it hit Terra Venture, and it was siphoned off of energy from Cassie. So, Kendrick's, she took her Quasar Saber. She entered into the force field, and she destroys the Savage Sword. And when she destroyed the Savage Sword, she destroyed herself. That was a very, very sad episode. Like, I cried on that episode. Like, that was the first time we ever saw a Ranger, destroyed in battle. I'm okay. I'll always be here. I remember those words. So, Kendrick's sword, it goes to the planet of, where did it go to? It went to planet Onyx. Now, Kendrick's came to, no, it didn't go to Onyx. It went to the planet Gwyneth. Her Quasar Saber fell into the wrong hands on the planet Gwyneth, and she told Maya that. So the Rangers went to Gwyneth, and they found the person that had the Quasar Saber. But Deviant had actually gotten there before the Rangers and told him to trick the Rangers. So he told the Rangers that hit the Quasar Sabers on the planet Karasa. So the Rangers went to Karasa. Deviant them set a trap for the Rangers. But we saw a shadow in the bushes, and Deviant went back in and he said, "So tell me where the pink quasar saber really is." So he said he took it to the planet Onyx. So Deviant went to monster to tell Trakina that the planet was the quasar saber was on the planet Onyx, and the figure that was in the bushes overheard that. So the figure went to the planet Onyx, and we later find out that it was Corone dressed as astronomer, pretending to be astronomer. She came in contact with she got the quasar saber. So then when she got the quasar saber, she thought about it. She had to get to the planet Karasa. She had to get to Karasa to warn the Rangers. But she didn't make it to Karasa in time to warn the Rangers. They fell for the trap. But, Corone does save the day. But when she saved the day, Trakina came. She said, "This must be my lucky day. 4 Rangers, the pink quasar saber, and a watcher astronomer. This turned out to be a great day." So then, she and Corone struggle for the pink quasar saber. And, they fight. And, Trakina does get the quasar saber. And she kicks Corone over the cliff. And once Corone goes over the cliff, she's fallen. But then she's got a figure grabbed her, which was a ghost. Which, how does a ghost grab a human's hand or wrist? But it was Kendrick's in her Pink Ranger form. And the reason why she was in her Pink Ranger form is, if you don't know, the actress who played Kendrick's, Valerie Vernon, she had leukemia. So that's why she ended up leaving the show. So, Kendrick's chooses Corone to be the Pink Ranger. So she turns herself into the Pink Ranger and she joins the team. So after that, we had a few more filler episodes. In one of the episodes, Facing the Past, Corone had to face her past for a warrior that she blasted into stone because the Rangers all had lost their powers. So they had to go in search of a new power. And, when she faced her past, the guy, he presented Leo with the keys. And, once he put the keys together, that's why Astronomer blasted him, because once he put his keys together, he was completely powerful. So when Leo put the keys together, he became the Red Armored Power Ranger. So then after that, like I said, it was just a bunch of episodes that didn't have anything to really do with the big story. Until we got to the episode of, what was that episode called? Enter the Lost Galaxy. So the Guardian of the Galaxy book came. He stole the Galaxy book, and Deviant came into the hands of the Galaxy book, and he read the Kianta spell, and the Kianta spell, Kianta, Karova, Melanite Hakova, time is tossed as galaxies lost become galaxies found becomes galaxies lost. I think that's what they're saying. I think that's what it was. So then, the Rangers enter the Lost Galaxy, and then we go into a whole new saga of the Lost Galaxy where we are introduced to Captain Mutiny, Barbarax, and Hexuba, and Titanosaur, and we run into Deviant again. So, the Rangers have to battle through the Lost Galaxy, and on the last episode before we go into our 3-part season finale, which was titled Rise the Titanosaur. No, that's not right. It's Escape the Lost Galaxy. Sorry, y'all. It wasn't Rise the Titanosaur. It was Escape the Lost Galaxy. So Captain Mutiny, he was capturing. So anytime a ship comes into the Lost Galaxy, Captain Mutiny would capture that ship and make them his slaves and take them back to his planet to dig his treasures. So that's what Captain Mutiny's thing was with Terra Venture, because it was a big ship, and Captain Mutiny wanted to capture all the people of Terra Venture to make them his slaves. But he was thwarted by the Rangers. So on the last episode, before they go to, like I said, before the 3-part finale, Barbarax goes on a Terra Venture and he starts capturing people. But Barbarax knows who the other 5 Rangers are. He doesn't know who Mike is as the Magnet Defender. So Mike, he goes to Captain Mutiny's planet, and he frees the prisoners that were from Terra Venture and the prisoners that Captain Mutiny's had for God knows how many years. So, this is the episode where Mike lost his Magnet Defender powers because Leo and Kai, they reversed the Kiantu spell to open a portal so that they can get back to the galaxy that they came from. So before Terra Venture could even get through the portal, what happened. It was starting to close. So Mike opened it and lost his powers. So then once they get through the portal, Captain Mutiny followed. But Trakina, she wasn't having that. So she destroyed Captain Mutiny. So then we go into the final 3 episodes. Journey's End Part 1, 2, and 3. So in Journey's End Part 1, Deviat returns, but they know that Deviat's a traitor. So Deviat, he takes Trakina, and they jump into the cocoon, and, Trakina takes on Deviat's powers and his personality. So she takes out Terra Venture's last engine, and Terra Venture crashes onto a moon, and then, they sent a probe out, and they found a planet that was similar to Earth. So, because Terra Venture wasn't going to be able to survive, so they're going to the planet. So then on Journey's End Part 2, Trakina is destroying everything in Terra Venture. She's destroying the Megazords, which was the Strike Force and the Centaurs. She destroyed the city. She was destroying her army. And, Villamax, she wanted him to take out one of the Hela ships. Villamax wouldn't do it. So Trakina destroyed Villamax. And, the Rangers stopped Trakina by self-destructing the mega ship. And, they all got separated when the ship destroyed. So Corone, Damon, Maya, and Kai, and Alpha, they fell on the planet, and Leo went back to the moon. So then in Journey's End Part 3, this is where Trakina morphed into her last and final form, which was a green form. She and Leo had they fight, and then the Rangers went to Terra Venture because Trakina powered Terra Venture, and it was going to go down to the planet and destroy the people because she was still on the bench's tip of avenging her father. And Leo fights with her. She was getting the best of the Rangers, but then at the end of it, Leo called on the Red Armored Ranger, and he destroyed Trakina. So then, they crash on the planet's surface below, and then once they crash, Maya noticed that this planet looked familiar, and come to find out they were on Marinoid. So they took the Quasar Sabers out, put the Quasar Sabers back into the stone. The Quasar Sabers, powers swarmed around Marinoid and released the people from the stone. And also, Kendrick's returned back for good. So that was pretty much Power Rangers Lost Galaxy in a nutshell. It is on Netflix if you would like to, if people have not watched it. It's on Netflix to watch. You can buy the box set. I think you can also buy it individually on Shout Factory. But that's Lost Galaxy. I definitely want to come on here and talk about Lost Galaxy because, like I said, it's my favorite season in the whole entire world. And I'm probably going to come back on here on March 7th and talk about Power Rangers RPM because it'll be the 10-year reunion from RPM, and that's another one of my favorite seasons. So it's probably what I'm going to do going forward on anniversary years, like 10, 20, 30, and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about the seasons. So like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later.